guys, welcome back to my channel. So my channel consists of mommy and lifestyle, but today I want to share something with you guys that happened to me last year in 2018. So let's get into it. So many of y'all do not know what happened to me, so I'm here to tell you. So this scar here, it goes all the way down, like way down here. But basically I had open chest surgery. It wasn't open heart surgery because it wasn't really my heart. But before I get into this scar, I want to talk to you about how we found out about my story. My whole story started back early 2018, beginning of the year basically. So I had gotten engaged to my husband August 2017, right after I graduated college, and I was about to start a new dental job, and then it moved on to January, and we were in the process of buying our first home together, and so much exciting things to do, planning a wedding and working too, and with all of that, it has anxiety, stress. It just drives you crazy basically, because you're like working, you are trying to plan a wedding, even though you have a wedding planner, you still want everything to be perfect, and buying my first home because I knew I didn't want to rent. So all of that was going on while this was happening. But one day I was just hurting really bad in my chest, and I thought it was maybe anxiety, and so did my parents. They were like, oh, you're just having anxiety, you're okay, just try to calm down, pray about it, and God will help you through this. And he does, but it turns out it wasn't anxiety, but we didn't know that until shortly later on. But so I was driving to meet my husband and the realtor to look at this house, and on my way there, I literally could not have my arm down on the steering wheel to drive, because I was leaving my work and headed to that house. So I had to drive with this arm up and steering as I was going, just to relieve the pain and pressure. So then I knew right then and there, this cannot be anxiety. How is this much pain anxiety? But again, I talked to my parents and they're like, oh, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay. So me, I'm not the kind of person at the time to just rush to the hospital if something like that is happening, even though I should have sooner. We finally, it was like after that, we started in January looking for a house, planning a wedding, got married in August of 2018, but January, February, we were looking for a home. Long process. There's so many homes in our budget selling so fast, so we really couldn't find the one we wanted, because we wanted something close to our jobs at the time. And so it was finally like the end of February, March-ish, early March, we found our dream home, our perfect first home. And we were scared that we couldn't get it because people were saying, oh, you can't do it, you can't do it. And we had the papers showing that we could do it, like to the loan and everything, but that's another story. We bought our home that we are in now, and we love it all the way. We're so blessed to have this home. But while that was happening, this was happening, and this, I'm just rambling on, but so anyways, one day I was at work, and good thing there was a hospital right beside my job at the time, and I trying to think as I go, sorry guys, but this is a lot. But one day I was at work. It was a busy, not summer, it was in March. What am I thinking? It was a busy day, because where I worked, we're always busy. But we were working one day, and I was with the doctor, and working on a patient, and I was having pain galore. Like I felt like someone was sitting on top of me and I could not move. So I was freaking out, and then my side started hurting. So I was like, I do not know what's going on. So we finally finished my patient, and I ran to my friends and I was like, hey, I gotta go to the restroom. I don't know what's going on, but I'll be back as soon as possible. I used the restroom, just like peed and everything. And then I sat down for a second, drank some water, just to see if that would help with the pain. Again, I'm not the kind of person to run to the hospital at the time, but I couldn't handle it anymore. So I ran up to the front desk. I know I probably shouldn't have done this in front of a bunch of patients, but I just could not handle it anymore. So I ran up to the lady that was working the front desk, and I was like, I am hurting. I can't take this anymore. Help me. So she was on the phone with a patient, and I know I shouldn't have done that, but my life felt like it was in danger. So she hung that phone up so fast, and she ran and got the manager, and then they're like, go to the back, so they can call the ambulance and stuff like that to come and get me, because I was in the state where I couldn't do anything for myself anymore. Basically the managers came to talk to me. I was like pacing myself, trying to talk, and I was like, I just need to go to the hospital. I don't know what's going on. So they wanted to call the ambulance, but I was like, we're right here by the hospital. I don't want to waste, that's a lot of money. Even insurance doesn't cover all of that. But so I was like, can someone just drive me? So one of the assistants, they were like, oh, I'll just drive her, I'll drive her. I'm so glad she did, so helpful and so kind. So she took me over there. She sat there with me the whole time while I was waiting on my parents to get there, because my fiance at the time was at work, and my mom, she doesn't work, she stays at home. But they got up there and then she left. So we got to the hospital, and while I was waiting on my parents to get there, even though I was more worried about me and what they're gonna do. So we got into our room. They took me back pretty fast, because when you have chest pains or high blood pressure or something like that, they seem to take you back faster. So they took me back, and at the same time I was having pain here and on my side. So I could not sit on the bed at all. So I had to have help getting on the bed. Like, I was not having it. I was like a huge mess. So they gave me some medication. I think it was like morphine or something really strong pain medication. It kicks in like that. I felt so much better. Then 10 minutes later, I was hurting again. So they kept giving me some medication, and they were like, oh, let's just go get a CT scan. And by that time, I was doing the CT scan. We did not know what was going on, because it takes a while to get your blood work back, your CT scan results back, x-rays back, and all of that before they can discuss what's going on. So my parents got there finally. My fiance showed up, and it was my parents, my sister, my brother, and then my grandparents came, my aunts and uncles, because we were all freaking out, because this hasn't happened before. With a family member having this much pain rushing to the hospital, other than when my papa had to have open heart surgery, but this was severe to them, so that's why everybody was coming. But they come in the room and they say, we're gonna admit you to the hospital. And me, all up on these medications and stuff, I was like, oh, I get to go home? Am I fine? And they were like, no, sweetie, you're staying in the hospital. We all freak out. What is going on? The nurse, I was like, can you tell me what's going on? Why won't you tell me what's going on? And she was like, I can't talk to you. The doctor's gonna be in here shortly to talk to you. So then, before the doctor even talked to me, they moved me to another room. And of course, my family, I was freaking out. I didn't know any anything, and you want to know why you have to stay in the hospital, because usually they're just like, oh, you're fine, go home, whatever. So I knew something was wrong. So I got to my other room, and the doctor came in. I think it was the next day actually, because I was there all day, and I guess they just wanted me to get some rest, but how can you rest and worry at the same time? You can't. So remember, I was buying a house at this time, planning a wedding, trying to work, and all of this. But I got to my room, and the next day the doctor came in, and he basically said, there's Stella. They didn't say there's Stella, but I had to grab her. But so they said you had kidney stones. I was like, oh, okay, because I had those too, because when I got engaged I ended up in the hospital with kidney stones, but that's another story. But so I was like, oh, okay, is that causing my chest pain also? And they were like, no, you have a mass right below your heart. We all immediately freak out. Is it cancer? Is it benign? What is going on? So they decided we can't tell from a CT scan if it is benign or cancerous, so we had to do a biopsy. So this was like early March, mid-March when they did the biopsy, and they did it on my side here, like three little lines. They went in and they tried to get a piece of this mass to send it off to the pathologist to see what it is. They sent it, they didn't really get a piece of it, but they finally did, because while they were in there, it popped. And a lot of black goo started coming out, so I had to have a tube hanging out of my side, and I'll insert some pictures for you, nothing too gruesome, but just some pictures so you'll know. But a tube hanging out of my side, draining fluid. I drained 800 cc's of fluid. I was in the hospital since I got there from work the first time. I was in there for about a week or so because I had the biopsy, and it takes a little bit to heal from that. But again, in the process of buying a house, I was freaking out. I was like, I'm not gonna be able to buy my house, and I want to. But luckily I had family members and my husband now that was very helpful in this situation. So we got our house, and I finally got to go home, and we signed for our house and everything, and I basically kind of put it on the back burner, the whole issue. So guys, sorry I look a mess, but I'm editing the video right now, so YouTube is only allowing me to do 15-minute videos for some reason, so that's why I'm putting it into parts, and I'm sorry this is taking forever. I'm just trying to figure out the whole situation, but this is part 1. I hope you enjoy, and stay tuned for part 2 that's coming soon.